So I went on Thang. I don't know if you've used this before. It's Thang's. It's a 3D finder, and it searches not just Thingiverse, but it does Prusa, all sorts of different places, 3D Delicious, Prusa printables. So you just put a keyword in. I did cow, and it will come up with a good selection there. Now, some you click and they want to charge you, but the one I found was on Thingiverse, and this one here, nice model, clean. Downloaded that one, and that's the one we'll use. Takes a little moment to come up. You get a splash screen. Now you can open your recent files along this tab here, or you just click on your work area and you'll come up with a workspace like this. You've got a camera, lighting, and an object. Well, we don't need any of them. So if you press A, which selects everything there, and just delete, and it's gone. We're not interested in lighting and cameras for what we need to do. So we need a cow. So we go to File, Import, and I know it's an STL. We'll find it. And you can see the right-hand corner, its cow is there. But Blender don't put it in the middle. It's there somewhere. There we go. It's right over there. So what you need to do is right-click on the cursor in the middle, come down, set origin, geometry to origin. Select the cow. Should do, set origin. There we go. And it will come to the center, and the cursor will be in the center. So, and also it might come in the wrong size as well. So what we need to do is click on the cow, press N, and it brings up the sidebar. And we'll press an item, and if you look the Z, 25 meters tall. So a bit too tall. On a scale.
Sorry, mate, can I just jump in, mate? Can you turn on your mouse click?
I can indeed. It's CL. Nope. There we go, shortcut. That's the one. We've got a bar in the middle of the bottom here. Let's have a look. Want to get rid of the zoom bar. That's not the one, is it? I'm not sure if that's it. Put colour buttons, yes. Start short.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, see it on the right there.
Yeah, okay, cheers, mate.
Yeah, do you want that? Is that all right in that corner?
Yeah.
Can you see it? Yeah. Right, so, yeah, to bring that sidebar up, all you got to do is press N, and it brings up any items you've got in there. We've got Make Human in there and a few others. So, on the cow, click N, go to Item, and then you'll see the location, rotation, scale and dimensions. So on scale, highlight, click on, highlight all three of them and put 0.1, and it'll scale it down 2.5 high. That's a little bit more respectable. Press Home, and Home always brings you into all your objects. And because we're only working on one object, that's fine. So there we go, we've got our cow. What we need to do is rig it. So actually, first thing we'll do, we'll click on and we'll go to edit mode, top left, edit mode. Now this is fine. If you click on here, this is all the subdivisions, and it's quite a detailed model. So we won't have any problems rigging it. If you go in and the triangles are all big, you can right click, top there, subdivide. But we don't need to do it on this one. The more you subdivide, the slower it will generate and render. So it's a compromise, but this one is absolutely fine. Back into object mode. So we want to add a rig to it. So we go to Add, top left, and it will come down. It's got armature, and we'll go for basic and a basic quadruped. And there we go. Now it is there. It's right in the middle of the cow there. So first thing we'll do is come down to the running man on the right. So the menu down the side there, the running man. And in the viewpoint display, it's got the octagonal or octahedral is the bones. We'll keep that. But all down the bottom, it's got in front. Always prop in front. And then wherever you move it, your rig will be in front of your mesh. The cow's the mesh, the rig's the bones. We're in there, we'll click on the rig, and then we'll do an S, which will scale it. So, but also we want to move it. So a good thing, on the left, come down, you've got a transform button. Now, what it does, it gives you the rotate, so we can rotate the rig whatever way you want. We can scale it by using the button in the middle. So we scale it long ways, so all 3 axes, and also we can move it all off the one tool. So it is quite handy if you're swapping between scaling, rotating, or whatever. Now, one thing I've noticed, that the cursor is not in the middle of our rig. So what we need to do is click on the rig, we'll right click, and we'll put set origin to center of mass. And what it does, it puts it in the middle and it actually moves it a little bit better. So what we need to do now is adjust this rig roughly to fit the cow. So if we scale it, and one of the shortcuts, a good one, is if you go in the X mode, on here you've got like a X. If you do it again, it'll go -X. So you know your face on. Z, and then we go -Z. That should go underneath, shouldn't it? Oh, Z, and click again, that'll be -Z, and Y, and you do it again, it'll be -Y. So you know then your face on, because a lot of the stuff when you're push-pulling, you could be wandering off. So if you press S now, which is scaling, and we'll bring it out a bit, and then move it down. You won't get it exact, you'll get it roughly, and we'll scale it to the right a bit and move it to the right. That sort of thing. We can scale it down a little bit. Right, well, this is a basic rig for a 4-legged animal, so it's never going to be perfect to start with, but we can change the rig quite easily. So with the rig selected, we'll go up to the top and we'll go into edit mode. This is where you actually move stuff around. Now, to move the bones, we'll click on this, we'll start with the top, with a little knob at the top there. You click on and press G and grab it. We can join it and we'll call that to his nose. We'll do the same again. We'll do a G on the other end and then we'll move it up, and that's give us a head bone. Always look though in front, because it's straight away we've moved it off. So we do a G and move it across. So now it's in the top of his head. One thing you can do is come up to the top right, we'll click on viewpoint shading, and then if you come down, it says material. If you give it a single, you'll get a colour wheel up. Change it so you get a contrast between the bones and the mesh. Blue's pretty good. It stands out a lot better. And that way, when you're looking down on it, because straight away that when we move them bones, they didn't go the right way. So we do a G, just move it over. Now, one thing, I mean, you can do up to the options, press X, axis mirror. That way, if we move one, say I want to move the foot bone, the hoof, press the hoof, press G, and it's mirroring on the X-axis. So you've only got to move it once. You haven't got to go back and move it twice. It works in all positions. So if we do a G on that one and move it across, we'll do a G on there. This is where the time is consuming. We do a G, and as you can see, what you need to do is go around and move your bones. Now, things like you can move the whole towel. So if you click on, press a Control L, it will move the whole or highlight the whole length. This is the towel section. So if we know that's the end of the chain, so if we do a Control L and we do a rotate, which is R, we can move the whole lot in one go. So we can move it to there, click on the end, do a G, do a Control L, G, and then bring it down and put it on the towel. Yeah, it's gone skew width, so we do an R and rotate it, and a G and move it. I can't even see where the towel's gone now. I bet miles out, but if I put it there. Oh no, not too far. But you get the idea. What you've got need to do now is go round and move all the bones. Now, what I did do earlier, because I don't know how cow bones work, so I went on trusty Google, found a cow. There we go. Oh, actually, I downloaded it, so let's pick the picture. Cow. Blender. And bring it in, and I found out where the bones go. So things like the hoof, yeah. We do click on the end, do a G, bring it in, G, move it up, yeah, and that's this bit of bone here. And you can do a G. It's all a bit moving it around. G and oh. But you get the idea of where you got to put the bones. Now, when I looked at this animal, the tail is very thin. 3D printing that, you might have a bit of trouble. Also, the ears. So what you can do is, well, maximise that again. If you come up to the top right, we've got cow, which is, we'll go back into object mode. We've got cow, which is our mesh, and then we've got meta rig, which is our rig. So if you click on the little eyeball on the meta rig, it hides it. We've got the cow selected. We'll come up to the top left, and then we'll come into sculpt mode. Now, this is where there's so much you can do on here. This is where your artistic skill comes in, because on the left here is all the sculpting tools, and there is loads. Because this is a mesh, when you sculpt, you can push pull. So if we do we'll start at the top. I'm not going through them all, but you can do clay. So we can add, if you didn't think there was enough muscle there, we'll put some muscle there. You know, Actually, that's subtracted it. So it is the skillful bit. There's some clever people doing a lot of stuff with this. What we need to do is just inflate the tail and the horns. Well, one thing I did find, which was quite good, pose. Halfway down, there's a thing called pose. So if your leg is in the wrong way, say the front leg was in the wrong way, if we right click and make the radius about that length, we can click on it and it puts a line there. And then we can move. We've got the we've got the option. We've got the Z-axis. I think. Yeah, we've got the Z-axis copy on that way, so it'll move both. So, but if we click on and your legs are not quite in the right place, you can move them, but bear in mind you might have to repair the mesh underneath, because if it moves this part of the mesh, it's going to collapse another part of the mesh there. So what you could do is you can inflate it. Now, if you look at the circle, it's a bit big. So if you right click, change that down to 100, and we can have a go at inflating it. And if you see, it's adding the mesh back. So with a bit of skill, which I ain't got, you can add it back. You'd have to do the same for the other side. But if you've got a pen and a tablet, this sort of stuff is easy peasy. So anyway, we'll do a Z on that and bring it back to what it was. Now we want to inflate the tail. So if we come in and just click on the tail, you can see it's grown a bit. Yeah, go up the tail and we'll give it some thickness, just enough. We'll come round to and the X. And that'll give us a bit of thickness. I know it's not prototypical, but it'll print. And if we come to face on, we can come to the ears and we'll go over the ears. And you can see it just giving it a bit of thickness there. There is other ways of doing it, but this is so easy. And if you do it wrong, Control Z, horns, a little bit on the horns. And that is it. You thickened up your ears, they'll print. You thicken up the tails. You can do the teats or whatever. And then you go back to object mode and bring your rig back on, which is the right-hand side. Now, this isn't set up properly, but what I've done is I've set one up already. It's one I made earlier, a bit, and I've added it to the tail. So what we need to do now is we click in the object, go to object mode, and we've got a cow, which is our mesh, and we've got a rig. And what we need to do is join them together. So we press on the mesh, we do a shift, and we press on the rig, and then we do a Control P. That thing's not on again, is it? You must have to start it for every time. So we should click on both, Control P, and it says set parent to. And this is where you parent the rig to the mesh. And if you come on down, it's with automatic weights. Now what that means is, if you click on it, and if you click on the towel, and on the end of the towel, it will move like it should do. If it haven't got automatic weights, what you have to do is paint the weights in so the top moves with the bottom. It's just an easy way of doing it. So if you move the front leg, it should move how it should. So, right, we'll click on the rig, and we'll go up to the top and we'll go back into pose, or we'll go into pose mode now. So we know that the rig is joined to the cow. So if we want to move its head, we'll click on this bone here. We'll do a rotate. Oh, cannot pose. Right, it's come up with a problem. On the right hand side there, it's got rest position and pose position. If I come in here and mess all this around in the pose position, I can always reset it back to the rest position. So we'll come in and I'll show you that. So if we click on there and we press R, and the cow's nodding now. If we click on there and rotate, see, with the automatic weights, the mesh is moving with the cow. And the same with the head, we're doing a rotate. But you get the idea. Let's have a look at the tail. Click on the tail and a rotate, which is R, and there we go. So the knack is getting the bones of the rig in the right place. That's where the skill comes. Look, and sometimes you don't go where you want. But say I'd move this around, rotate that, and we've done the head, rotate, and then we're going, it's all messed up now on me. We'll go to the pose position, and we want to change it back to the rest position. In the pose position, we do a Control A, and we'll apply pose as rest. Control Z, we'll press Control A, apply selected. That's wrong. We'll go back to the rest position. We'll do a Control A and apply pose as rest pose, and it should be gone back. Yeah, that's the way. There is a way of doing it, and if you get it wrong, you go the wrong way. So do Control Z. We've got it in that position. If we go to rest position, we do a Control A and apply that pose as rest pose. And then we go to pose and it's back to 0, to where it should. Right, I don't know if there's any more I can tell you about that. And if you want, as I say, you want your figure and different positions, you just move as you do doing a figure. So we rotate the leg, escape. Pose options to take the X off. I mean, this is where the arty bit comes in. We can rotate stuff like that, you know, move it into position.